In August 1942, in the treacherous waters of the Mediterranean, HMS Eagle, a titan among aircraft carriers, sailed undeterred at full speed, 24 knots, towards a fierce battle, her deck bristling with Hawker's Sea Hurricane aircraft. After more than 20 years in service with the Royal Navy, Eagle, once envisioned as a battleship, but converted into a carrier with the demands at the time, had earned a reputation within the branch as a strong and reliable vessel. Because of this, she was chosen to provide essential air cover, the convoy intended to resupply the besieged island of Malta. The immense threat of Axis forces didn't deter the 791-strong crew and their fearless leader, Captain Lachlan Donald Mackintosh. They were resolved to carry out their duty, Operation Pedestal. The world watched, holding its breath as this formidable vessel sailed towards destiny. Unbeknownst to the Allied forces, a German submarine, U-73, commanded by a decorated Kriegsmarine commander, was lurking in the depths nearby. Fateful beginnings. In 1911, the Chilean Navy commissioned the British manufacturer Armstrong Whitworth to construct two Almirante Latorre-class super-dreadnought battleships. At the time, the world's major maritime powers were in a race to build larger and more advanced warships, a trend Latin American nations were also jumping into. The first battleship, Almirante Latorre, was completed and delivered to Chile, but the second, Almirante Cochrane, was still under construction when World War I broke out in 1914. Seeing the imminent threat, the Royal Navy, then the world's largest navy, seized many warships being built in the United Kingdom for foreign nations, including the incomplete Almirante Cochrane. Influenced by the successful use of aircraft in naval operations thus far during the war, the Royal Navy had begun experimenting with seaplanes and aircraft launches from ships. With the demonstrated potential of air power in maritime operations, it was decided that the ship would become an aircraft carrier. The following year, the ship was launched and renamed HMS Eagle, and her new life with the Royal Navy began. The transformation. The design work for this significant conversion was carried out by noted naval architect Sir Eustace Tennyson D'Eyncourt. While the warship was not completed in time to participate in World War I, the reconstruction continued in her development schedule. In June 1924, she was finally commissioned into the Royal Navy and assigned to the Mediterranean Fleet. At the time, HMS Eagle was the largest aircraft carrier in the world, capable of embarking 25 aircraft of the Fleet Air Arm of the Royal Air Force. A unique specimen in aircraft carrier design, Eagle was not constructed from scratch, but was a reconstruction of a partially built ship. As a result, she was also the only vessel in the British fleet with instruments labeled in Spanish and in metric units. She displaced around 22,600 tons, had a maximum speed in ideal conditions of 24 knots, and range to 4,800 nautical miles. Inside, the ship's crew totaled 41 officers and 750 men, excluding the air group. For self-defense against any potential enemy, the ship was armed with 9 BL Mark 17 6-inch guns, 3 at the stern and 6 along both sides. For extra added power, she also had 5 QF Mark 5 4-inch anti-aircraft guns, 2 positioned on the flight deck in front of the island, another behind it, and 2 mounted on top. Early days. HMS Eagle spent most of the interwar period in the Far East, overseeing the protection of several British strategic interests. When the United Kingdom entered World War II in September 1939, she was docked at Singapore for a refit and jumped right into action as soon as she was finished. From then on, HMS Eagle was active in various theaters of the war, serving in numerous operations. Assigned to the Atlantic Fleet, her first duty was to enforce the naval blockade against Germany, a key part of the Allies' early war strategy, attempting to cut off vital supply lines to the Axis powers. During the early part of the conflict, the Fleet Air Arm was desperately short of fighters, and the aircraft carrier, equipped solely with Fairey Swordfish torpedoes, was crucial for operations. Whenever Eagle was not at sea, her aircraft were disembarked and used ashore. In one of her numerous missions, on March 14, 1940, she suffered an accidental bomb explosion while off the Nicobar Islands in the Indian Ocean and was sent for repairs, but would come back stronger than ever. Into the fire. The following month, the aircraft carrier was reassigned to the Home Fleet, and she participated in the Norwegian campaign, where her aircraft flew sorties against German forces in support of the Allied ground troops and provided air cover for the fleet. During the rest of 1940 and into 1941, HMS Eagle saw service in the South Atlantic and Indian Oceans, with the main mission to hunt for German and Italian commerce raiders and blockade runners, successfully sinking the German supply ship Nordmark in March 1941. HMS Eagle also took part in various offensive operations, providing air cover for convoys, carrying out air strikes on enemy shipping and installations, and engaging in battles with Italian naval forces. In March 1941, during the Battle of Cape Matapan, one of the Royal Navy's most decisive naval victories of World War II, the British intercepted and attacked an Italian fleet that had sortied into the Mediterranean to attack British convoys. HMS Eagle played a key role in the battle, launching aircraft to aid in discovering and eventually sinking multiple Italian warships. The aircraft from Eagle, alongside those from another British carrier, HMS Formidable, were instrumental in identifying the location of the Italian fleet. Duty calls. But no matter where the Navy sent Eagle, the aircraft carriers seemed to shine the most in the Mediterranean theater, particularly in the defense and resupply of Malta. A small island nation, Malta served as a crucial base for the Allies to launch ships, submarines, and aircraft to attack the Axis in both North Africa and southern Europe. As such, in 1941, the enemy began a relentless bombing campaign against the island. For this, Eagle was frequently called for club runs, a term given to the dangerous missions of ferrying fighter aircraft from Gibraltar to Malta. These newly built models, often the modern Supermarine Spitfires, would then be used to bolster Malta's air defenses. In the dead of night, the fighters would be loaded onto the aircraft carrier at Gibraltar, and then the vessel would make the high-speed dash towards Malta as quickly as possible. Once the ship was within flying range of the island, the fighters would be launched and fly the rest of the way. However, it was in August 1942 when HMS Eagle's role in Malta's defense would reach a critical juncture. Malta was in a dire state by the summer of 1942. The island ran low on vital supplies, ammunition, food, and oil. To remedy this situation, the Royal Navy strategized Operation Pedestal, one of the most fiercely contested operations of the Navy's hundreds of years of history. The operation involved a convoy of 14 merchant ships from Britain, escorted by an extensive array of naval vessels for protection, including 2 battleships, 7 light cruisers, 32 destroyers, 7 submarines, and 4 aircraft carriers, including HMS Eagle. The aircraft carrier, led by Captain Lachlan Donald Mackintosh, carried 16 Sea Hurricanes of the RAF's 801st and 813th Squadrons and 4 reserve aircraft for the operation. Yet, the Axis forces were not to be caught off guard. Anticipating such an operation, they launched a fierce counteroffensive, aiming to halt the convoy from reaching Malta, with a heavy-duty arsenal that included bombers, German E-boats, Italian MAS and MS boats, minefields, and submarine ambushes. Eagle down. The Pedestal convoy sailed from Britain on August 3, 1942, and passed through the Strait of Gibraltar into the treacherous Mediterranean waters on the night of August 10th. By the time the sun rose, the convoy was approaching a stretch of sea south of Sardinia, known as a hunting ground for Axis submarines, and the crew of Eagle and all the other ships in the convoy were on high alert. Lurking near them was the German U-boat U-73, led by Kriegsmarine commander Helmut Rosenbaum. Rosenbaum was already a seasoned commander who had already earned the Knight's Cross of the Iron Cross for sinking substantial tonnage of Allied shipping. In the mid-afternoon, Captain Rosenbaum seized the opportunity to attack and successfully slipped through the protective screen of destroyers. He then launched a salvo of 4 torpedoes, each striking right onto HMS Eagle. After this well-executed attack, the effects were undoubtedly devastating. Eagle quickly listed to starboard, and within minutes, the once proud carrier rolled over and sank beneath the waves, 70 nautical miles south of Cape Salinas. Losses included 131 officers and the majority of the aircraft. Despite the tragedy, the operation continued. All remaining escort forces and their crews were determined to ensure the convoy reached its destination. Although suffering heavy losses, only 5 of the 14 merchant ships reached Grand Harbor, most importantly USS Ohio. A tanker borrowed from the Americans carrying oil brought much-needed relief to the besieged island. The sacrifice of HMS Eagle, a one-of-a-kind aircraft carrier, was not in vain. While costly for the Allies, it was a strategic victory. The arrival of Ohio justified the decision to hazard so many warships. Its cargo of aviation fuel revitalized the Maltese air offensive against Axis shipping. The sacrifice of the HMS Eagle was a crucial part of this strategic victory. Thank you for watching. To continue exploring the hidden depths of naval history, remember to like, share, and subscribe to Dark Seas and all of our other channels. Tap the bell icon to be notified of all our latest videos.